Hey everyone, and welcome back to Roadside Coder, and welcome to the 13th video of our MERN Stack Tutorial Series. In today's video, we are going to implement our Nodes API in our front end. So we are going to create the UI for the API, and we are going to integrate the API into our front end, that is the React part of our application. So without any further ado, let's get started. Before we start, I would like to mention one thing, that we are going to go a little bit faster in this video because there are a lot of things to cover. But don't worry, I'm going to explain each and everything. So try to cope up with me, as I'm going to take few of the codes and just paste them, but I'm going to explain all of the concepts that I'm going to explain in this video. So I've opened our node zipper folder over here, and I'm gonna go to terminal and quickly start our application by typing npm run dev. So as you might remember, we have assigned this npm run dev to our concurrently command. So it's going to run it. So let's wait for it. So our backend has started. Let's wait for our front end. All right, here we go. So our app has started. Let's try to go and log in our app. So I'm gonna use one of our users and press enter. So here we go. We are successfully logged in our application. So let's first work on displaying all of the nodes from backend to our front end. So as you already know, we are going to use Redux for that. Let's go to our front end, and inside of our constants, I'm going to create a new file for nodes constants.js, and inside of it, I'm going to create a few constants like export const for request, success, and fail. So I'm gonna go over here and copy one of the user's constants and paste it, and let me just change it to note list. So we want to list the nodes, so we're going to give it name nodes list request, success, and fail. Now let's go on and create a reducer for it. So inside of the reducers, I'm gonna go and create a new file, nodes reducer.js, and let me quickly create a reducer, then I'm going to explain what I've done over there. There we go. So I've created a nodes list reducer. So just like previously, I'm not going to go much in depth in this because I've explained all of these things in my previous React video. So just like we have done for user reducers, what we are doing over here is whenever we are going to call the API, so it's going to first request the nodes, and then if the request is successful, it's going to go into this case node list success. First of all, loading will be true, and then loading will be false, and nodes state will be initialized to action.payload. And if it fails, then the loading will be false and it will set the error. And as you can see over here, I've created a nodes array inside of our state, and we're taking an action. So let's import all of these constants first. Okay, so I've noticed one thing, it's nodes over here, and I've written note over here. That's why it was not getting auto imported. So let me just fix this real quick. Notes. There we go. Now it should get auto imported. Yep. There we go. Okay, so this is our reducer. So let's add this reducer into our store. So I'm going to do our store.js. I'm going to create a new state over here. So node list will be node list reducer, and let me import it. Yep, just like that. Now let's check. Let's go to our application and check if it's appearing over here or not. Let me just refresh the page. And inside of our state, you can see we have a node list state over here. Inside of it, we have nodes empty array, inside of which we are going to put our nodes. All right, let's go on and create the action for it. So I'm going to go to our actions folder and create a new file, node actions.js, or let me say nodes actions.js. Now let me create an action real quick, and then I'm going to explain what is happening over there. Okay, here we go. So I've created the action over here with the name of list nodes. Okay, so what is this list node is going to take? Nothing. And as you can see, this nested function, it was made possible by Redux thunk that was already mentioned in one of the previous videos. So it's going to take a dispatch and the get state. So what get state is, I'm going to explain it along the way. Just hold on a second. So inside of the try catch block, we are dispatching the action of type nodes list request. So what it's going to do, it's going to set the loading to true right over here. And after that, what we are doing is we are fetching the user info from the state. So how are we able to do this? We have this get state function in our Redux actions. So when we take this action, it contains all of our app's state. So inside of the get state, we are taking out user login state, and inside of the user login state, we are taking out user info. Let me show you real quick. So inside of the Redux, if we go over here, inside of state, we have user login and we have user info. So we need this user info. Why? You're gonna know in just a second. So we have to make this request /API/notes. Okay, but as you might remember, let me go to the backend. Let me go to the backend and sort of the controllers, node controllers. So we have this get notes. So this is a protected route. Remember, we created this routes over here. Yeah, right over here. So we protected this route. So it's what's happening inside of this protect route is it's going to check the token which will be sent by user to the backend. So let me explain how it's gonna do this. So we are going to create an object called config, and inside of it we're going to pass some headers, just like we used to do in Postman. We used to provide it bearer token. Let me show you. So inside of the Postman we have /API/notes API. Inside of it you can see we have a header for authorization bearer token. So this is how we are going to send it from front end as well. So we've created an object over here called config, and inside of it we are defining our headers, authorization, so bearer, and then the token will be coming from user info. So user info dot token. Okay, then what we are doing is we are just making a normal Axios call, axios.get to /API/notes, and we are passing this config object. Okay, so that's the request being made over here. If the request is successful, we are going to dispatch this action, nodes list success, and we are going to pass this data from here, which will go to the reducer, and it's going to initialize our user info. Sorry, not over here. It's gonna go over here. It's going to go to our nodes reducer, and it's going to initialize our nodes state. All right, but if it fails, what it's going to do? It's going to catch the error, and it's going to then fire off nodes list fail, and it's going to pass the error message that will come from the backend. So this is the logic of fetching the nodes. So let's go on and implement it. So inside of our screens, we have my nodes page. So we're going to do that over here. We're going to fetch all of the nodes over here. All right, so let's go on and take our nodes out of our Redux state. So what was the first step? Well, it was to use the use dispatch hook. And then what are we going to do? We're going to use the use selector hook. So use selector, what was the name of our state? Node list. Okay, so we have our state inside of the node list, and what do we need to take out? We need to take out three things. So loading, nodes, and error from node list. All right, cool. So now we're gonna have some problem because we have already declared this. This node state over here. So I'm gonna remove this, and this fetch nodes as well, I believe. Let me remove that. And what else do we need to do? Use dispatch. Okay, I have not imported all of these. I'm gonna manually import them. So import from React Redux. So let's import use dispatch, and then I'm gonna import use selector, just like that. So fetch nodes is not defined. Of course, we are not going to use fetch nodes anymore. What we are going to do, we are going to call our action, this action. So inside of the use effect. Okay, one more thing I noticed, inside of the actions, I haven't imported all these constants. So let me import these. Let's see. Yep, they are imported. So inside of the use effect, we're going to use our dispatch. And inside of the dispatch, what do we need to call? List nodes. Just like this. Let's see if it has been imported. Yep, it has imported. Also, we're going to add the dispatch in the list of our dependencies. All right, great. Now let's go on to our browser and check. Cannot read property map of undefined. Okay, let's see. Where is the problem? If I put question mark over here, then it should work. Yep, there we go. but I believe we don't have any notes. So let's go and create few notes. So let's go on and log in with our user. So currently Jane has been logged in. So let's go on and log in with Jane only. Okay, so we're gonna go on and log in with John. And you can see over here, we have one of our node that was created earlier, and you can see it is working absolutely fine because we had created our UI earlier. So it's working perfect. Also, while the nodes are being fetched, we need to show some loading. So let's implement the loading as well. So right above our nodes, we're going to check if there's something inside of loading. If there's something inside of loading, so we're going to render our loading component that we created earlier. It's imported. Okay, it's not getting imported. Let me import it. Component / loading, just like that. Let's see. Okay, it should work now. Yep, you can see there's a loading over here, and then it shows our notes. Let's try it again. Yep, there we go. Just like that, we need to create something for error as well. So if there's something inside of the error, also this error and loading, as you might know, is coming from over here, is coming from our Redux state. So error, and we're going to render our error message component. Okay, it's not getting auto imported. Just like that. And what is it going to take? It's going to take the variant of danger. And also this was not supposed to be a self-closing tag. So it's going to have error inside of it if there's some error. So can't resolve this. Why? Oh, I misspelled this arrow message. I've written it. Okay, yeah, now it's fine. Okay, there we go. So when the request fails, it's going to give us this error. Fine, so we have created our reading notes functionality. Also, there's one more thing that I would like to do. Whenever I'm logging out, it should throw us back to the login screen. Over here, I'm gonna take the login state from the Redux. So const, by using use selector, user login, and from user login, what am I going to take out? Const, I'm going to take out user info, and we are going to use this user info to check right over here if there's nothing inside of the user info. What do we need to do? History dot push to push to slash. Now we need to take this history from use history. So use history comes from React Router DOM. Const history equals use history. Let's see if it has imported. Yep. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. Okay, we are not using the use state. Let me remove that. So if there's nothing inside of the user info, that means user is not logged in. It's going to push us back to the home page. All right, great. Now let's go on and create our creating notes functionality. So how we can use the create note API to create the notes basically. Also, I forgot, I noticed one more thing. So instead of writing welcome back Piyush Agarwal, I'm going to write the name of user. So let me write the backticks over here. Just like this, and welcome back $ user info dot name. Should work. Yep, welcome back John Doe. Great. If we go over here, we can see created on, we need to put the date over here. So instead of this, we're going to have this. So what's happening over here is created on, then we are taking note dot created at, and we are taking out the date from it. So the first 10 letters will be the date. So let's see. Let's refresh it. And you can see created on this date. Great. Now let's move on to create our create notes functionality. So I'm going to go into my notes constant.js and create the constants for that. Just like this. So notes create request, note create success, and note create failed. Now I'm going to go to notes reducer.js. And let's add this note create reducer. So what's happening over here is when we request for it, these are all just absolutely same. You can see this is just a pattern of how we do stuff in Redux. So nodes create request, loading will be true. If it succeeds, loading will be false, and success will be true. Success will be true means the node has been successfully created. Otherwise, loading will be false and error will be thrown. So let's add it to our store.js. Also, I forgot to import these. Just like this. Now let's go to store.js and node create reducer. Yeah, let's go to our Redux. Yeah, let's see inside of state. Yep, nodes create state has been created inside of the Redux. Let's go on and create the action for creating our node. Let me just shrink this and create new action just like this. Now let's try to understand what's going on over here. So first of all, let me just import these constants, then I'll explain. So we are accepting the title, content, and category for our nodes. This will be sent from our create nodes screen that we haven't yet created, but we are going to create it in just a minute. So we are going to take all of these three from that screen, and then it's still absolutely the same. We are taking our dispatch and state, and then inside of it, a try catch block, inside of which we are first firing off the nodes create request, which will set the loading to true. And then we are taking out the user info from our state because we need to send it along with our headers. So over here you can see two type of headers. So first is content type. In what type of content are we sending the data? So we are sending the data in form of the JSON format. So this line is very important to add. Content type application/JSON, and then the authorization, that means the bearer token that we are sending. Now what's happening next? So we are making an API call as usual to /API/node/create, and we are sending the title, content, and category that we received from the user to the backend, and then we are passing this config object from over here. Now next, if this is successful, if this doesn't fail, it's going to fire off nodes create success and it's going to pass the data to our payload. Otherwise, it's going to throw an error. As simple as that. Let's go on and implement this. But first we need to create the route for our create node page. So let's go to our app.js and create a new route for it. I'm going to take one of these screens and let me just say over here create node, and for the component create node. Now let's go on and create this create node screen. So I'm going to go to the screens and create a new folder for create node, and inside of it I'm going to put create node.js. So this is going to be a page with a lot of forms and stuff. So let me create it real quick and then I'm going to explain it. So I've created the whole page and integrated everything. Now I'm going to explain what's happening inside of this page. But first of all, we are going to install a dependency called react-markdown. I'm going to explain what this dependency is going to do. So let's open a new terminal and let's switch to our front end and npm install react markdown. Also, let me just import it real quick, then I'm going to explain it what's happening over here. Let me check if it's working or not. So we can see our app is working. If we click on create new node, it's going to take our create nodes screen. So let's check what's happening over here. So first of all, we have installed this react markdown. So what is the role of this react markdown? Let me just go on and Google it out. So you might have seen the markdown files. For example, if you have used GitHub, it has a readme file which is in a markdown format. So that is what this package helps us to do. Whenever we type anything, it helps us to convert it into a markdown. So if you want to go through this documentation, you can just go it. It's going to explain you what are the different roles that this library performs. Now let's go on and understand what's happening in this page. So first of all, I have imported our main screen component. As you might remember, we have created a main screen component. So if we go on over here, I'm importing our main screen component with the title of create a node. Now inside of it, we are creating a card. So this card is coming from Bootstrap. So Bootstrap card. So yeah, this is the card. So this is the card that we are going to use with the header and footer and other stuff. So let me just go on and explain further. So card.header is going to have a create a new note header. So just like this, it has this header, and inside of this we are going to create a form with the title, content and category. So we have a form tag over here in the card.body. We have a form tag with the submit handler function. Whenever we submit the form, it's going to call submit handler function, which we're going to see in just a minute. Also, we have this form group. So this form group is for the title. So title with the label and type, it's going to be the title, or you can put the text, I think. So value is going to be the title, because we are changing, we have created a state for the title. So as you can see, we have created title, content and category use state over here. So whenever we type inside of the title, anything inside of the title, it's going to set the title to that, and since it's going to be a controlled input, so it's going to be the value of title. Similarly for the content and for the category, I believe. Where is the category? Yep, there we go. There's the category. Also in between, you can see I am importing the React Markdown. So let me show you what's happening over here. So whenever we type anything inside of the content, it's going to take it and render it inside React Markdown. But what is React Markdown going to do? Let me show you. So if I type hash hello, you can see it's appearing as a heading. But if I go on and type hash space hello, it's going to be a lower of a size of a heading. So you can go to Google and learn about Markdown syntax. Also, if there's anything inside of the content, only then this thing is going to be rendered. I'm rendering another card inside of it. If you're having any sort of confusion inside, just don't hesitate to ask anything in the comments. Alright, so next form group is for category, as you might have already seen. And then we are creating two buttons, one for create note and other for resetting the fields. So if I type anything inside of it and click on reset fields, it's going to reset all the fields, and another for create note. And create note will be a type of submit. Great. And then we are having a card footer with creating on, and then inside of it we are putting the date, which is current date. So we are creating this on 21 June 2021. So yeah, this is the basic structure of this component. Now let's go on and understand the functionality of it. So we have created the reducer and actions for all of the stuff for the Redux. Okay, so we are taking the dispatch hook, and then we are taking the use selector hook. So we are taking our node create state, and we are taking out loading, error, and the actual node that has been created from inside of it. Now this is our reset handler. Whenever we click on reset, it's going to empty all of our state. And then this is our submit handler. So what's happening inside of the submit handler? So what submit handler is doing is it's calling that function. So inside the dispatch, it's calling the create note action function, which we had created right over here inside of the notes action.js. So we are passing title, content and category inside of it. Okay, I think this line is supposed to be over here. Yeah, so if there's nothing inside of the title, content and category, we will simply return. Otherwise, we're going to call this function. And then we are going to reset all of our fields. And after that, we are going to push our app back to my notes page. That is our original this page. After creating the notes, it's going to be pushed back to this page. Okay, so this was the logic of this component. So let's go on and try it out. I'm gonna go and creating a new MERN course. I'm creating 13th video, and let's give it the category of YouTube, a bullet. So yeah, you can see the live preview over here. So let's go on and create the note. So you can see the loading, and you can see it has been added in the list of our notes. Creating new MERN course and teach MERN stack. Okay, great. But I noticed one thing over here. It's top to bottom. The newer note should be on the top. So let me just go to our my notes, and what I'm going to do is notes.reverse. Let's reload it. Yep, there we go. Now after our note is created, we want to go to our my notes page, because sometimes it happens that it goes to my notes page but it doesn't display our new note. So for that, what are we going to do? Let's go to our My Notes page and let's take out our create state over here. So create note, I'm going to take it and paste it over here. So what do we need inside of it? We are just going to take the success and let me rename this as success create. So it's going to tell us if the note was created or not. And whenever this changes, it should fire off our use effect again. So, comma, create success. Also, I noticed I haven't added this history. So history is going to be added inside of this, and the user info, because it's also dependent on user info, because if user info changes, it's going to do history.push. All right, so this was all I believe for now for create note. Now next, what do we need to do? We need to create a functionality for updating our note and deleting our note. So let's work on update notes. For update note as well, we are going to create a new page. So, but first of all, let's just go and create the action, reducers and constants for our updating note. So let me just create few constants just like that. And let's go to our notes reducer and create the reducer, which will be similar, just like we are doing up until now. So notes update request, loading true. If it succeeds, loading false, and success will be true. And loading false, error action.payload, and success will be false. Let's import all of these. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but if I just go really slow, then this video is going to be too long. So just try to cope up with me and try to understand whatever I'm trying to explain. So okay, this was our note update reducer. Let's take it and add it to our store. Update will be note update reducer. Let me import it just like that. There we go. And let's check into our browser. Let me refresh it. And there it is. Note update request has been, a state has been created. All right. So whenever we press this edit button, it should take us to note and slash the ID of the note. Now you might be thinking, how are these links already created? So we have already created, if you might remember, earlier in this course. So let's go to my note. So you can see in our edit button. Yeah, in our edit button, we are going to /note /note._id. So this is how it's working. And also for the create note, we have already created this. When you press the create note, it's going to go to /create. So let's go on and create the action for updating our note. So notes action, let me shrink this and go over here and create a new action. So this is going to be our update note action. So just like before, let me just import all of the constants first. Then I'm going to explain what's happening inside of this function. All right. So what's happening over in this function is we are taking the ID. First of all, this is very important. So we need this ID to find the note in our database. So we are going to take the ID through which we are going to find it, and then the title, content, and category, which will be updated into that note. So just like before, we are using a try catch block, and inside of it, we are first firing off a dispatch with notes update request. So loading will be true. And we are taking the state, the whole state of the Redux, and taking out the user info inside of it, from inside of it. Now we are creating a config just like we did in create notes request. So content type is going to be application/JSON, authorization bearer token. And then this is our API /API/notes and /the ID of the note. So this is the ID that is coming from over here. So you might remember in our Postman, this is the put request. So we are going to make a put request over here, axios.put. Also, I forgot to mention inside of our previous action, our create notes action, we are doing a post request. But in this one, we are doing a put request. So put is for updating the note. Then we are passing the title, content, and category and the config. So if this is successful, it's going to fire off notes update success, and the payload will be data. But if it fails, just like before, it's going to go to the catch block and it's going to fire off the error. Great, let's save this and let's go on to our app.js, and I'm going to create a new page now. So I'm going to create /note/id, and the component will be called single note, which we haven't yet created, but we are going to create in just a second. Well, let's go to our screens and right click and create a new file for single note.js. And let me create this file again real quick. It's going to be absolutely similar to our create note, but a little bit of differences. So let me just create this screen real quick, and then I'm going to explain what this page is doing. So I've created this screen, and let's go to app.js and import it. Yep, just like that. Let's see if it's working fine or not. Okay, I should have created it inside of a single note folder because that's a little bit clean. It's gonna look a little bit cleaner. So let me put it inside of single note folder. Yep. Well, let's see. Yep, it's working. You can see if I press any of these, so it's going to take me to this page /note/the ID, and it's going to autofill this form with all of the content. And whenever we edit this content and click on update note, it's going to get the note updated. Otherwise, we can delete the note as well from over here, but we haven't created the delete note functionality. So let's try to understand what the update note functionality is. All right, so what's going on this page? First of all, we have created 4 states over here, one for title, content, and category, and other for storing our date. Okay, so let's go down first over here inside the return. So first of all, is the obvious thing. We are creating the layout for our page. We have imported the main screen component with the title of edit note. So just like this. Inside of just like the create note component, we are creating a card. Inside of we have a card header with edit your note. Inside of the card body, we have a form. Now just ignore these things for now. These are for the delete functionality. I've commented them out for now. So this is for the error message, which I'm going to come later on. So now what's going on over here inside of the form? There's a title, and it's going to have the value of title, which is going to be initialized at the top. I'll show you how it's being initialized. So just like that, we are getting a form with the content, and this is for the note preview, and this is for the category. And here we go, the update note and the delete note button. So that's pretty much it, I guess. And this is for updating on, or like updating on, I can put this, updating on this date. And that's all. Let's try to go and understand the functionality first, then it will be more clear to you. So first of all, what we are doing is we are taking the use dispatch hook and our use selector hook and taking out the note update state from the Redux. Now we have loading and error over here, which we'll see how we are using them. Now inside of the use effect, this is important. So inside of the use effect, so we are making a request over here for this particular ID. So we are taking this ID match.params.id. What's this match? Let's see. So this match comes from React Router DOM. So we are taking this match.params.id and we are fetching the ID from the URL. That means this ID, and making a GET request to our backend, which will return us data in it. And then we are going to use that data to set our title, content, and category the moment page is loaded. So you might know use effect is used. It's going to fire off when the page is loaded or when these dependencies change. So it's going to fire off and it's going to set the title, content, and category and the date whenever it was last updated. Okay, so it was that. So I should have not changed it over here. So it was correct. Updated on means last updated on. It was last updated on this date. So it's taking that. Alright, cool. Then it's calling this function fetching, which is this function. And we're going to put match.params.id. If user tries to change the ID, then it's going to refire this functionality off, and it's going to refetch the note with that ID and the date. If the date also changes, we're going to fire off use effect. Now this is the reset handler that we already created. So here's the update handler. Whenever we submit the form, then it's going to fire off this update handler. So let's see and try to understand. Oh, first of all, this error is for if there's any error occurred. We are putting an error component over here and a loading as well. Where is it? Yep, here we go. It's a loading component over here. All right, now when we submit our form on submit, what will happen? it's going to call this function. So dispatch, and it's going to call update note action. So match, it's going to pass our ID first of all, title, content, and category, as we saw over here inside of our notes action. We are taking ID, title, content, and category. So this is what it's taking, and it's using the reset handler. Okay, here is it's being used, I forgot. So reset handler is being used over here and to reset the fields, and then it's going to push us back to my notes. So let's try this out. Also, by the way, all of this code is in my GitHub. If I'm going a little bit too fast, you can just go to github.com/piyush-eun, or just check the description. You can find the repo link in the description as well. So let's try. So today I'm creating part 12. So let me part 13, which is API integration. Let's try to update this node. And part 12. So you can see this was not updated. Why was this not updated? Because we need to update this page as well. So how is that going to happen? So let's go to our all notes. Yeah, my notes page. And in here, we're going to put the note update state as well. So let me take it from right over here. Yeah, this one. And put it over here. So we just need the success. Let me rename it to success update, and let me put it inside of our dependencies. It's refreshing it. Yep, there we go. Let's try it out again. Let me remove this and let's try to update the note. Yeah, you can see it has updated it. Great. All right, finally, the last thing is to create the delete note functionality. So let's go to our notes constant, and I'm going to add over here as well. So note delete request success and fail, and then we're going to go to notes reducer and create the logic for deleting, just like that. So note delete reducer, what's going to happen? Note delete request loading true, and if it succeeds, loading will be false and success will be true. Otherwise, if it fails, loading will be false and error is going to be set and success will be false. Let's set this inside of our store, just like this. Let me import it. Yep. And let's go on and create the action. So notes action, just like this. So it's going to be a very simple one, just like previously. So we are having delete notes action. We're just going to take the ID that we need to delete. So first of all, notes delete request. Then it's going to take the user info from the state. And just like previously, we're creating an authorization header. We're passing it to the API. What is the API? /API/notes/ID. So this ID will be deleted when we request this. So notes delete success, payload data, if it succeeds. Otherwise, if it fails, it's going to call the catch. Great, pretty self-explanatory, but let me import all of this. All of these constants, yep, it should be fine now. Yeah. Let's go to our all notes page or my notes page. And first of all, create the logic over here. So we're going to take the use selector. Oops. And what was the name of our state? It was note delete. And inside of the note delete, we're going to take out our loading, error, and data, or success, I believe. Loading, error, and success. But you can see the loading and error are already defined. So we're just gonna name them. So loading, delete, let's say, and error to error, delete, and success to success, delete. Just like this. Now, whenever the note is deleted, we should reload all of the notes. So let me just add it over here in this list. And inside of the delete handler, we're asking if, are you sure? So if the user press yes, we are going to call the dispatch. What function are we going to call? Delete, the action that we recently created, delete notes action, and we are going to pass it the ID. So ID. Also, you can see this ID is coming from over there. So let me go take it. Where is it? Yeah, right over here. It's sending the note ID. So it's going over here and it's going to delete the note. So let's try this out. But first of all, let me just create the error and loading. Let me just use both of these. So right above over here, I'm just going to put it. So error delete, if there's something inside of error delete, we're just going to render this. Otherwise, there's something inside of loading delete, we're just going to put the loading. Let's go and try it out. So let's try to delete this, or let me just create a new note. I'm gonna write anything inside of it, doesn't matter. Let's create note. Yeah, it has created. Now let's go on and delete. It's asking, are you sure? Okay. Yeah, there we go. The note was deleted. So this was our delete note functionality. Also, we were supposed to add this functionality inside of our update note or single note screen. So yeah, right over here. So the same thing is happening over here too. We are deleting the note and it's going to confirm. So we need to call this delete handler from over here inside of our delete button. So this delete note. Okay, so whenever we press on delete, the delete button, it's going to go and delete it. Also, these loading delete and error delete are going to be used right over here that I had commented from earlier. Whoops. Yeah, just like that. So delete note action is not defined. Okay, let me import it. Not this one. Where is it? Yeah, it has imported. Yeah, let me just go on and delete it. Let's go to this note and click on delete note. Okay, there we go. The note was deleted. Great. So let me just go on and now make this search bar working. So we should search anything over here and only those notes should appear. Okay, so let me just create few notes. Let me just create some dummy notes over here. Doesn't really matter. Write anything. It's test note, test, create it. So I've created 3 notes over here. Now let's go on and create this functionality. So inside of the app.js, we are going to create a new state. Okay, let me just make this inside of a curly brace. And yeah. So above this, I'm going to create a use state of search. Okay, and we're going to pass this search to our header. So our header will play a role to set this state. So set search to be set search. Inside of the header, I'm going to receive this set search, and also we're going to pass the search to our my notes. I'm gonna explain you why I'm passing it, because it needs the search data to filter out the notes. Okay, the use state is not defined. Let's go on to our header and use this search state. So if I go on to this form on change, it's going to change our search. So e.target.value. Just put e over here. Now it's going to update our search. Let's try this out. I'm gonna go to app.js and just log our search out if it's working or not. Go to console and write something. Yep, you can see it's working. All right, so let's take this search and pass it to my notes, and let's go to my notes and receive this search. And now where are we rendering the notes? We are rendering them right over here. So just before the map, we are going to filter our notes. So filter. Inside of this filter, let me write filtered note. And we're going to write the logic if the filter note dot title dot to lower case, because we want them to be in the same case to be compared, to lowercase dot includes. What does it includes? Search dot to lower case. Only then it's going to be filtered. So let's go and test it out. So let me write test. Yep, you can see it has filtered. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, it's working absolutely fine. So my life, yep, it's working fine. So in this video we have created our CRUD functionality in the front end. So thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, just give it a huge fat thumbs up, and if you're not yet following this series from the beginning, just go to youtube.com/roadsidecoder, and inside of the playlist click on view full playlist, and here is the full playlist. Now the next video is going to be our last video where we create the logic of updating the user profile and user my profile page in the backend as well as in the front end. And after that video, we are going to go and deploy our MERN Stack site. So don't forget to watch those videos, and that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.